Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that takes the lead in today's edition for Tuesday, 23rd July 2024, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. The Archbishop of Canterbury conferred a doctorate by the University of the West Indies and spoke gallantly on climate change. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. Shortly after being conferred with the honorary degree from the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, the Archbishop of Canterbury called for much more to be done to slow the effects of climate change after seeing the impact of Hurricane Beryl. TTT's Sunil Lalla reports.
You may remember him in mid-2023 as he crowned King Charles III before almost 2,000 people in Westminster Abbey. Now, a little more than a year later, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, has been conferred with an honorary degree of Doctor of Laws from the University of the West Indies. And shortly after receiving the honor, Archbishop Welby remembered the devastation Hurricane Beryl caused to many parts of the Caribbean, including the island of Jamaica, where he received the degree.
I'm particularly grateful for you arranging this ceremony, especially after what has been a terrible past few weeks for the island of Jamaica, and for so many of its inhabitants, and for those living right across large parts of the Caribbean as you deal with the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl.
But he said much more needs to be done by the real perpetrators, which accelerate the effect of climate change.
I continue to pray for those impacted by its deadly path, conscious that climate change is having a disproportionate impact on these islands as on other low-lying islands around the world. It strikes me that those same inward-looking, power-grabbing, selfish ideologies that led to the trade in people has also led to the environmental crisis.
Vice-Chancellor of the UWI, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, mentioned the university's long relationship with the Anglican Church.
We consider it fitting and appropriate then to honor his service in the church, and more specifically his distinguished leadership of the Anglican Communion.
And the public orator from the UWI, Dr. Peter Glegg, said it was an honor to confer the degree on such an outstanding institutional leader.
And as the 105th Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend and Right Honourable Justin Portal Welby crowned His Royal Highness King Charles III in Westminster Abbey on May the 6th, 2023. Chancellor, the Most Reverend and Right Honourable Justin Portal Welby has transitioned from the petroleum oil industry to anointing King Charles III with holy oil.
The ceremony on July 20th coincided with the Archbishop's visit to Jamaica to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the establishment of the Diocese of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Sonolala, TTT News.
Several Barbadians paused for 5 minutes at noon to observe Prime Minister Mia Mottley's call to pause for peace. And Ms. Mottley continues to urge people to play their part in the fight against crime. CBC's Michelle Agard filed this report.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley observed the 5 minutes of peace at noon with members of the Bushall community which she represents. She made the call for the moment of silence as the island continues to look for ways to quell a recent upsurge in crime. After the pause, Ms. Motley told those gathered that Barbadians are not violent people.
I have known what it is to see ups and downs, but I've also always felt the resolve of people to be able to rise over challenges, whether it is in the individual household, whether it's a mother trying to fight up with the children that she raising, whether it is a fella trying to be able to portray with his children, the baby, the dampers, all of the different things, whether it is the community as a whole recognizing that the few incidents that we've had out here where people have lost their lives, the rest of the community coming together and say, we don't want that around here. This is not who we are.
Recalling some of the incidents in her constituency, the Prime Minister has called for all to do better in the fight against crime.
The amount of grief that they leave with the children that no longer got a father, or the mother that lost a son, or the sister or brother that lose somebody, we know better. And no handful of people can take this country and wipe out the progress that we make unless we let them do it. The rest of us can stand up and step up. Let us step up. If we step up, then I know out here will be better.
Some Barbadians have also expressed their views about the crime situation.
I pray that all hear what she said and would do. I would like to say that the youth from in the parents' gut, the mother's gut, learn the right way to speak.
Dennis Moore says he supports the Prime Minister's call.
Caribbean doing a good job. She's trying her best and she can't do everything her want. I think so.
And at least one youngster, Jalen Brewster, says violence is not the answer.
I feel like people just need to take a moment to think about what they're really doing and committing these crimes. So if they don't commit these crimes, then it will maybe bring an uptake in the community, especially in the youth.
Rachel Agard, CBC News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Efforts in Barbados continue to boost dwindling population. Prime Minister Mia Motley speaks on this in Parliament recently.
Why this is important, sir, is because we don't need to have open floodgates. What we will have is a managed migration policy so that the skills that are needed can be brought in rather than just believing that you bring in any and everybody and that you flood out the country and you end up with a preponderance of skills that have no jobs and a preponderance of jobs for which there are no skills. Well, that don't make no sense. And therefore, there are other countries in the world who have managed this well over 50, 60 years. And there are other countries doing the same thing that we are doing now. The United Kingdom recently announced an extension as to who could benefit from citizenship. Theirs is time-bound over a wide period of time, but it is still time-bound. In other words, instead of only the child of a Bajan being able to be a Bajan by descent, you can want to extend it to great-grandchildren or grandchildren. But the third one is really the problem. It is the one that we would love all of us to do, but it should have been dealt with 25 years ago. And that is the natural way of encouraging families to do what they have to do to grow the population. The good old-time way. The problem is that the good old-time way, while it may bring joy to many, does not allow us to solve the problem in under 20 to 25 years.
Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, the ECCB, Timothy Antoine, presented a report on monetary, credit and financial conditions in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the ECCU, when the 108th meeting of the ECCB Monetary Council convened at Aurora Anguilla Resort and Golf Club on 19th July. Andre Huey of SK Newsline reports.
The meeting followed the ceremony to mark the change of chairmanship of the ECCB Monetary Council from council member for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Camilo Gonzalez, to council member for Anguilla, the Honorable Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster. The governor's report will address the stability of the EC currency, the ECCU financial sector, and economic conditions in the ECCU and international arena. The Council will also receive the report from the Technical Core Committee on Insurance and updates on key legislative matters, including proposed amendments to the Banking Act 2015 and the legislative framework for the deposit insurance system. Additionally, the Council will be apprised on the operations of the Eastern Caribbean Asset Management Corporation and the Eastern Caribbean Partial Credit Guarantee Corporation. After the meeting, Council Chairman and Council Member for Anguilla, Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster, will present the communique and field questions for media practitioners in Anguilla at a media conference. The Monetary Council is the highest decision-making body for the ECCB. It comprises the 8 ministers of finance from the ECCB member countries. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
The Dr. Terence Drew administration in St. Kitts and Nevis has been doing a good job in its year and a half in office and could have a hard time losing despite missteps in their first term. So assesses Peter Wickham, political analyst, who said the lack of an organized, formidable opposition means the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party may be in political office for some time to come. Andre Huey of SK Newsline again provides some details.
I think that Dr. Drew has done reasonably well under these circumstances, but I think a lot of the, I think that there are a number of people who feel that the leadership has been less exciting than it could have been. So if I were to give an objective opinion, I would say that I give him a B or a B plus in terms of his performance, probably a B. One could argue that certainly he's less inspiring than either of the 2 previous leaders that he's come after. But nonetheless, Dr. Drew is locked in by an important reality, and this is the fact that he is, he has no competition virtually. And the chaos and confusion in the opposition makes it difficult for him to do badly. So I would say unforced errors, perhaps there have been a few. Opportunities that have not been fully exploited, perhaps there have been a few. But I also appreciate that the turf he's batting on is not necessarily the easiest. I mean, St. Kitts and Nevis is coming out of COVID, and it's essentially trying to find a developmental path, and we were speaking about that in the earlier segment. He may have some ideas, but again, that's something that's going to take time. And then he's also dealing with the reality of a Dr. Douglas, who is very much alive and well and within the party, and still there are sections of the Labour Party that may feel that he should be the individual leading it. So when you take all of that together, I would say that, yes, there have been some enforced errors, but I think he's done okay. And that's probably the phrase that I would be most comfortable with. I don't believe the likelihood of him losing office anytime in the near future is high. I think that as you continue and you say that you have PLP offering a slate of 8, and you have PAM indicating that they're going to be contesting all 8 seats on the mainland. You have CCM dominance in Nevis. You have an NRP which is trying to get off the ground but is yet to do so, and certainly has not indicated which coalition partner it will seek an association with. It's a level of confusion in which the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party and Dr. Drew can only benefit. So I would say he has time. He has time to make mistakes. He has time to find himself, and presumably either this election or the next one, he will find himself very comfortably in a leadership position again.
Mr. Wickham was speaking on the latest edition of Newsline 360, which aired on TVC Channel 40 on the cable on Tuesday night. You can watch the show on the Television Caribbean's Facebook page or TVC's website, www.tvcplus.live. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
believe in our strength. We'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give. It's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.